Hey, good morning everyone, TJ here. Today we're out at Copper testing out a new one on the Never Summer lineup, the Cougar. I'm excited to spend some time on this. Let's get into it. All right, real quick for reference before I jump into the tech, I'm 5'10", I weigh around 155 pounds, and I'm riding this snowboard in a 156. The Cougar is gonna be an all mountain focus board on the Never Summer lineup, and it has the same shape as the Hammer used to have, if you're familiar with that snowboard. It does have a directional design, so you're gonna find about 1.25 inches or 32 millimeters of setback, shifting the bindings and the inserts closer to the tail of the snowboard, as well as 5 millimeters of taper. So the tail is just a little bit narrower than the nose. You're also gonna find a slightly directional outline with a little bit more nose up front outside the contact point. So this board does have a little bit going on to help you out in softer snow conditions. And something that's brand new for me, first time ever today, is that this board is actually camber dominant. First camber dominant Never Summer I've ever had the chance to test. It's got what they're calling their recurve tripper camber profile. So overall camber dominant, but still does have that triple camber shape with positive camber zones underfoot as well as in the middle of the snowboard, and reverse camber kind of in between those camber zones. So should come through with that more precise, powerful camber feel. You're gonna find quite a bit of carbon built into the layup of this snowboard. You're gonna find 4 fat carbon stringers in this thing running in a V shape out from the bindings to kind of the contact points of the tips of the snowboard, as well as a secondary one a little further out, going further out into the tips in both the nose and the tail of the snowboard. So that should help give this thing significantly more pop and energy. It also has that classic Never Summer dampening technology in here to help smooth out the ride as you're out there cruising and exploring, as well as their power grip side cut. So that's gonna add some mellow contact points throughout the side cut of the snowboard. So if you find yourself on real icy, firm, treacherous conditions, it's gonna help bite down on that a little bit more and keep it a little bit more confident for you. Other than that, this thing does have a sintered sidewall and a sintered base. The sintered bases on Never Summer is always a big highlight for me. They actually use a different manufacturer than a lot of other brands, a US-based manufacturer, and they're pretty solid and pretty fast. So overall, Never Summers are pretty bomb-proof, pretty durable snowboards. And that's gonna be it for a quick tech breakdown. We're about to get some laps going out here for the rest of the day. We'll check back in a little bit later and share some feedback on how this thing feels. All right, guys, we've been lapping all day, still out here at Copper. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna switch up the format today. So let me know in the comments what you think about this, but I'm gonna review the board while it's still on my feet. So we're gonna stop a few times on this lap, talk about some different things I wanna talk about, and hopefully you guys get some value out of this video. All right, let's start off talking about the flex you're gonna find in this snowboard. So Never Summer rates this at a 7 out of 10, and I'd say that's pretty spot on. You know, I'm riding this in the smallest size. It comes in this year, the 156. I'm around 155 pounds, and it's definitely significantly on the stiffer side of medium. It comes through with plenty of stability, and I would not say this is a board that's gonna let you down as you're out there exploring, getting it up to higher speeds, getting in those higher impact scenarios. It's gonna come through for you and have your back. And energy wise, this board does have some good pop. It's really interesting, this profile from Never Summer. It pretty much feels like traditional camber. It does have a rocker blend close to the contact points outside that camber zone underfoot. So I think that makes this board a little bit more manageable. It's helping with turn initiation, just making it a little bit more forgiving. But overall, you do have to muscle it. You got to work for it to get some flex out of this thing, to get it to snap back and give you that pop. It's a board that's going to make you work for it a little bit. But you know, on the positive side with that, you get all the stability that comes along with it. And when it comes to flat ground and butter type tricks, again, you know, you're gonna have to be working against that flex, working against that camber profile and all the additives in this snowboard. So I wouldn't say that it is the most friendly for that type of stuff, but you know, if you've already got that down, like several tricks down that you like and you're comfortable with, definitely a board you can have fun with, messing around on flatter sections of the mountain, or just trying to make the most of terrain where you feel like doing some butters. But at the end of the day, you do have to work for it just to combat that flex and that camber profile. That reverse camber blend does mellow things out a little bit, but overall the board comes through with a pretty precise feel, and it's going to be one where you want to pay attention to your edges if you're doing this flat ground stuff. And when it comes to freestyle riding and park laps, that's not going to be the specialty with the snowboard, obviously, but it is very versatile and can still be a lot of fun hunting down natural features or even taking some park laps. It rides switch pretty comfortably. You do notice that taper and setback give it a little bit of a different feel riding switch, but not something that's going to throw you off too much on switch landings. And if you are going to take it in some proper park laps, I would say it's a little bit more jump leaning. You know, it is quite stiff, so it's just going to have that kind of personality to it in the park. It's going to be a little bit harder to press. It's going to make you work a little bit more if you're trying to do those techie tricks, but on the positive side, it's going to come through with a lot of snap and energy, and it's going to have plenty of stability for stepping up to larger features. So definitely not a board I would hesitate to take to the park if that's something that you enjoy doing on your days on the mountain. I also want to talk about the carving experience you're going to find in this board. So a couple specs I always talk about are the waist width and side cut. So with the Cougar at a 156, you're going to find 25.6 centimeter waist. So slightly above average. It's got some nice width to it. And if you do have a larger boot size and you want to for sure eliminate that heel and toe drag, this board actually does come in some legit wide sizes as well. I think the 157 wide is like 26.4 at the waist, so it's significantly wider, but the base model has some decent width to it as well. The side cut on this one is about 7.25 meters, so pretty average, pretty versatile, maybe just a little bit tight, but it's going to be a side cut that's fun for cruising at any speed, really in any situation. It's pretty versatile. And as far as the overall carving experience goes, this thing is a pleasure to carve with. That's how I'd sum it up. Whether you're just doing mellower, kind of short, quick carves at slower speeds, or you're trying to push this thing and, you know, take it up to those higher speeds and try to get a little bit more aggressive with those carves, maybe even going through some variable chopped up terrain, trying to keep that edge going and power through that snow, this board is going to be able to do that without any issues. I didn't find any chatter in it whatsoever. That stability comes through really well. I didn't feel like I was losing control or feeling washy at all at any point today, and that width really comes in handy as well. It's got a very locked in feel to it, and it's pretty stiff torsionally as well, which helps when the snow is a little bit choppier, like end of day, just a little bit sloppier snow conditions. It's going to help you power through that, and really strong carver overall for being an all mountain focus board. At the end of the day, I would just describe this as a great all-around resort board. It's a true all-mountain board you can take out regardless of the conditions and have a good time. It's going to be fun on the groomers. You can take it in the trees, take it out on a pow day, explore the alpine, even take some park laps. It's going to have your back and going to be able to handle it. I will say that it's probably a little bit more suited to people with a more all-mountain free ride riding style. Even though it is freestyle friendly, it's definitely not like a freestyle progression kind of board. It's a little bit more of a novelty with the directionality and the stiffer flex you're going to find in this one, and probably better suited to slightly more advanced riders as well with that more aggressive feel. So for me, the biggest highlights are the stability and the energy you're going to find in this snowboard, as well as how much fun it is for carving. Pretty cool. First Never Summer I've ever ridden that is traditional camber, or has that camber dominant feel going on to it. So if you're interested in something like this, check out the Never Summer Cougar. This was a fun one out here today. I'll have it linked down in the description if you want to read more about it. And leave any questions for me down in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you guys. Drop a like if you got some value, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for watching today, and we'll see you in a new review next time.